Sometimes when we try to do the right thing, we just end up doing more wrong. Brand new Lamborghini, fuck a cop car.
At the time of us recording this, the song you just heard is #1 in both the US and UK.
To add to this, the song has peaked at #1 in 6 different countries, including Switzerland, Australia and Ireland.
Like we often say, this sort of song doesn't surprise us that it got #1 because it features that very catchy and typical mainstream style and flow.
Not only is DaBaby's performance on this track very strong, it features one of the biggest artists in the world right now.
If you watched the last documentary we made, you'll know that Roddy Ricch is one of our favourite artists of all time. And we did predict that he's just going to get bigger and bigger with everything he makes.
And this is being proven. Everything he is touching is turning to gold, or should I say platinum.
Roddy delivered yet another perfect verse on this track. For me, that is obviously the highlight of the song, but that does not take away from the fact that DaBaby himself made a banger here, and his parts are brilliant too.
Rockstar is one of DaBaby's recent bangers of his new album Blame It On Baby, featuring more iconic artists such as Future and A Boogie.
This album consists of 13 songs and is his 3rd studio release.
Beginning with Can't Stop, which demonstrates DaBaby's massively impressive flow and begins the project with a bang. I think it's pretty cool that his daughter is in this music video and shows that they have a father-daughter bond, and we will pick up on this later in more detail.
Light Skin Shit features Future and was produced by the well-known Jetson Maid. This song is very short, like a few of the songs on this whole album, but the collaboration works very well between the two rappers, and of course the beat is very strong.
One of the other strong features on the album is in the form of A Boogie, who features on the track Drop. He adds a different dimension to the song and performs a typically strong verse, which complements DaBaby's voice very well. It's one of my favourite tracks from the project, and it's probably due to A Boogie being one of my go-to artists before this track even was a thing.
A different style comes in with Find My Way, which is a slightly more deep song than what DaBaby usually makes. It mainly talks about his problems with relationships and girls in the past, and this is portrayed really well through the singing in the chorus, which is pretty different for DaBaby, you know. Before this project we've not really seen much singing from him, and to be honest this is probably my favourite song from the whole project.
Blame It On Baby shows his skill and ability to demonstrate drastic flow changes, beat switches and keep them smooth. The switch in the beat is almost like a soundtrack for an old game, and somehow DaBaby still manages to make it sound class.
Champion is also one of my favourite songs from this project. It's got a very catchy and almost irritatingly catchy hook at times, but it flows so well it sort of stops it from being annoying most of the time. The lyrics on this song are very simple and there's nothing incredibly creative or amazing going on here, but it just works. It sounds nice. It doesn't always have to be technically brilliant, it just sounds nice. With the song Amazing Grace, DaBaby expresses his religious beliefs, and he confirmed his belief and allegiance to God in the 3rd Breakfast Club interview.
I'm a firm believer. That's why I'm really cool and during all this madness that's going on right now, because I understand I'm covered, you know what I mean? I understand it was already written, so I ain't tripping at all. Like, I'm real big on that. That's really how I navigate through a lot of the stuff I navigate through, just because I'm already understanding, you know what I mean? It's a higher power that can already put all that into place, you know what I mean? Regardless of how I may talk on the song, regardless of how I may come up, I'm far more than what meets the eye at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
This album features a lot of high quality songs, but there's more often than not a few songs that you don't end up listening to as much, mainly due to some sounding the same and blending into each other. However, this album has definitely engaged me a lot more than his previous music, and I'm excited to see what he does from here on.
Most of the tracks on this album really show off DaBaby's raw talent. He utilised the features very well, and overall it's a very complete and professional quality release. Without a doubt, Rockstar is my favourite song, despite it being a bit overplayed now it is #1, but a lot of the other tracks are brilliant too. One of the interesting parts of the song Rockstar is the section where he talks about protecting his daughter. Unlike some rappers, which we all know, the story he actually tells in this song is fully true.
This is referring to an incident that happened on the 5th of November 2018 at a Walmart in Huntersville, North Carolina.
Police officers still surrounding the store as they try to figure out what happened tonight and why.
Where a 19-year-old man was shot in the abdomen and died soon after. DaBaby confirmed his involvement in the shooting and claimed to be acting out of self-defense. In March 2019, the serious charges were completely dropped, and DaBaby only had to plead guilty to carrying a concealed weapon. Of course, in this song, he's later claimed that this was to protect his daughter and his family. And his various interviews and songs suggest he has a very close relationship to her.
I don't be on none of that tough guy. I don't be on that, like, you know what I mean? Especially like when I'm with my baby, like, you know, my daughter, like, that's my princess. So I'm a goo gaga is my baby type of dad. I'm that type of father. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm a love muffin for her. I'm pussy when it comes to my daughter. Excuse my language. I'm sorry. I should have chose a different word.
North Carolina is actually where DaBaby spent the majority of his childhood. Jonathan Lindell Kirk was born in Cleveland, Ohio on December the 22nd, 1991, and he moved to Charlotte when he was 7 years old.
Kirk claimed he only got involved with the street activity when he was 17 years old, which is older than a lot of the rappers we've spoke about previously. However, the time that he started getting involved in this sort of stuff probably explains why he dropped out of university, and he's later claimed that he actually only went to school for his parents' sake.
I mean, before you started rapping, you said you were already successful in the streets.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay. Like, how old were you when you started getting mixed up with all that?
Get mixed up with what?
The streets.
Shit. I don't know, like 17.
Okay, a little bit later.
Yeah.
You know, I talked to a lot of guys that are 13, 14.
I mean, I've been running around doing, you know, little shit, but I mean, like 17 when, like, I mean, I don't know. It depends on, you know, what you would call getting mixed up in the streets.
Okay.
DaBaby's father was always an influence on him growing up, and he speaks openly about what his dad was listening to when he was younger.
My pops listened to a lot of people, man. Used to be dancing around in the car and shit. He listened to a lot of people, Busta Rhymes, Q-Tip, a lot of people, like hip hop, you know. And me, like, I was born in 1991, and then, see, I got my pops, and I got two older brothers. I'm the youngest out of three boys on my mama's side, so I'm naturally listening to what they listen to too.
When Kirk started rapping, his name wasn't DaBaby. It was later changed to this, and the name actually comes from his religious beliefs.
And you were Baby Jesus in the beginning?
I still am. I meant that.
Okay.
I'm the chosen one.
And people actually got upset with that. Well, you do live in the South, in the Bible Belt,
right,
where people are real religious down there. So, why were they offended at calling yourself Baby Jesus?
You know, it's somewhere along the line, that's gonna get in the way of the business. You see what I'm saying? And I got enough sense to listen, you know what I mean, and to understand that, and okay, let's make an adjustment. I mean, I'm still here for a reason anyways. Like, I'm still, you know, so that ain't gonna change. Like,
so you changed your name to DaBaby?
DaBaby.
So DaBaby's career began with Non-Fiction, which was a debut mixtape consisting of 8 tracks, and it can only be found on SoundCloud like a lot of other rappers' first music.
This was quickly followed up by the God's Work mixtape series and the Baby Talk mixtape series.
Some of these mixtape series actually ended up being really long, like I believe there are 5 Baby Talk mixtapes, and this just goes to show that in the early stages of his career, DaBaby was just pumping music out constantly. His catalogue of music is a bit of a mess, and some of the really early projects we're talking about can't be found at all. Some can only be found on Spotify, some only on Apple Music, some only on SoundCloud. They're a bit all over the place. And to be honest, Kirk doesn't really talk about these because they were in his very early stages of his career, so he sort of lets them slide.
As his career developed in the early stages, more mixtapes were released under the name Baby Jesus. These tapes consisted of $1 Billion Baby and Back on My Baby Jesus Shit. Out of all of the songs released on these mixtapes, Gorilla Glue was the biggest, and we can see why. From this song, you can begin to see his own style coming together, and it gained him more recognition.
So far in his career, the majority of the songs he has released have been solo. He hasn't done too many features to this point. And in some of his later work during this period, you can see some of that classic DaBaby style coming through, which now we all know and love. You can tell that at this stage in his career, he was just experimenting like every rapper should and does, working on different styles and finding out what suits them.
DaBaby started to get more recognition once he had signed with Arnold Taylor, a big radio promoter and president of the South Coast Music Group label.
Taylor opened the door for DaBaby to start performing at clubs all around North Carolina. And through this, they kept building a buzz around his name while he finished the 5th rendition for his Baby Talk mixtape series.
Arnold Taylor was responsible for the early rise of rap stars Future and Yo Gotti, so he clearly knows what he's doing.
And from his time at the South Coast Music Group, he managed to get a short distribution deal with Jay-Z's massive label, Rock Nation. And from this, we got Blank Blank.
Okay, why that name?
That's Charlotte shit, like that's Charlotte lingo, you know what I mean? And that's why, like, on the cover of it, I got the Charlotte jersey on, Charlotte hat on. I just feel like it was just time. It's time to put the identity with the shit, you know? And I knew that was gonna be the one that, take it over the top, you know. So I made it a point to make sure that I bring our culture, you know what I mean, to the masses with that shit. You could say you blank with your interviews because how successful they is, you know what I mean?
Blank out, kinda.
Yeah, like I'm fresh as fuck today. I say, yeah, I blanked with that. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, if he dropped one of them fire-ass verses on the song, like, bro, you blanked on that song.
This tape proved to be his breakout in late 2018 and featured close friend Stunner for Vegas. From this track 4 times, you can clearly see the chemistry that the two rappers have together, and this has gone on to be a regularity throughout both their careers. However, DaBaby's career is only just popping off here, and the song doesn't really appeal to me as much as his music nowadays.
Like, he recorded his part like right there in front of me, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a beat when we walked in, so I got to see like his workflow too. You know what I mean? He went in there, recorded, he went there, smacked that shit, boom, like, it ain't take long at all. He went there and smacked that shit, like, quick.
So this tape featured Walker, Texas Ranger, which was a very, very popular song and gained him his first ever and actually only Genius interview.
I'm in a rental truck sticked up like Walker, Texas Ranger. That was just me comparing the fact that, like, I'm always sticked up like the motherfucking police. I just remember seeing it like when I was a kid and shit, Walker, Texas Ranger, he was that nigga. You know what I mean? TV ain't even the same no more. Back then we had shit like that, you know what I mean? So like, when I was a kid, like my older brother would be watching that shit. I think my mama used to watch it too. Cop that run around beating motherfuckers' ass, but I ain't no cop though. I'm just in a rental truck sticked up like one.
I'm not a huge fan of this song because it's got a very choppy flow, I think. However, you can definitely see that very strong lyrical ability that DaBaby's always had. Thanks to the guidance of Taylor and the success from the mixtape Blank Blank, major label bidding wars began for DaBaby. And he ended up with a 7-figure deal at Interscope Records.
I mean, it was just time for it, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm that caliber of artist too, like, you know what I mean? Like, I come with so much, I bring so much to the table, like, you know, at some point you gotta get that machine behind you because at the end of the day, you know, it's too much money up there with the big dogs. It's too many politics, you know what I mean? You gotta know what you're doing, you gotta play the game. And not only that, like the partnership we got with Interscope, the joint venture deal, it's beautiful. And I love the fact that we took our time with it, you get what I'm saying, and got it out the mud because it's different.
On March the 1st, 2019, following the Interscope deal, DaBaby's first studio album was released. Baby on Baby has 13 tracks and features guest appearances from Offset, Rich the Kid, Stunner for Vegas, and Rich Homie Quan.
The standout single from one of his earlier mixtape, Walker, Texas Ranger, that I spoke about earlier, was republished on this full studio album, and I'm guessing that's thanks to its success. However, on this album, it isn't actually the standout track. That title belongs to the song Suge, which is of course a reference to Suge Knight. And you can see why, because this track is basically just one big showcase of acting tough, sending threats, flexing, and trying to look hard, basically. So all in all, it's a banger. This tape features another legend reference with the song Tupac, and I'm sure you can guess who that's about. This track is in collaboration with Jetson Made, which actually sort of becomes a bit of a theme through his career. And in this song, he claims to be the Tupac of the new shit. Now, you can choose whether you believe that or not. In my opinion, he definitely isn't. But that line just goes to show that DaBaby is definitely feeling himself at this point, and he's definitely starting to rise in fame, popularity. His talent levels are getting better, and his style is very much nailed in at this point. You know, this album is very, some would say samey, but it's also very consistent. His style and flow is the same through most of the tracks. There's only a few standouts in our opinion, but you can definitely see that he's got his style nailed, so now it's just about creating them bangers with that style.
One of the biggest songs on the album is Babysitter featuring Offset. The track is quite energetic, and DaBaby talks about not being able to stop himself trying to have sex with a babysitter. Offset's verse for me does improve the song, which is rare because I'm not his biggest fan, but overall the song bores me a bit and wouldn't be one I would rave about. Another song from this project is Going Baby. He raps about his sexual prowess and bigs himself up basically. I can feel the energy on this track, and the chorus is quite catchy, so it's definitely one I would give a thumbs up to. It also performed well with over 140 million streams, which is the second most on the album.
Baby on Baby all in all managed to hit number 25 on the Billboard, and the track Suge actually got in the top 10. The success of this album actually got DaBaby on the XXL Freshman's cover in 2019. And a lot of people claim that 2019 was actually DaBaby's year in the industry. Not only did his music gain way more traction through his new record deal, he featured on countless other tracks that all did very well.
DaBaby featured on artist songs such as Megan Thee Stallion, Quality Control, Trippie Redd, Dreamville Records, Post Malone, Camila Cabello, Lil Nas X, and many more.
Later that year in August, his second studio album was announced under the name Kirk, which is of course a reference to his second name.
You know what I mean? My pops, you know, my role model, you get what I'm saying? My role model, you know, he the one told me never settle for less. He the reason why that's where I get the deep voice from.
It was released a month later and featured the hit songs Intro, Bop, Vibes, Toes with Lil Baby and Moneybagg Yo, and iPhone with Nicki Minaj.
I feel like you bring out, I said that this morning, I feel like you bring out the best in Nicki Minaj, man.
She went dumb.
I don't know what it is.
She went dumb.
When she did the Suge remix.
Yeah.
And then even on this, is just something about that energy you bringing that brings out the best in Nicki.
For sure, man. That's dope. That's dope too. That's an honor. It's a pleasure to be able to do that, to be able to, you know, throw the alley-oop and watch her finish, watch, you know, somebody a legend.
Intro peaked at number 13 on the US Billboard, and you can see why it succeeded. It's a strong way to open up the album, and DaBaby discusses his grandmother and his father who passed away during his come up as a rapper. I really like this song as it's a little different to what he had released before this point in his career. It's more emotional and you can feel that in his voice, which is why I love it. This track serves as the first promotional single for Kirk, which is unorthodox since rappers typically don't release introduction tracks on albums as solo songs.
The track Toes is very iconic and features Lil Baby and Moneybagg Yo. You guys will know that we are huge fans of Lil Baby, and he does work incredibly well on this track. His flow is its usual insane self, and DaBaby's flow is very strong also. I love that chilled and quiet whistle background with DaBaby's very hard and strong vocals. It just works really well, and this is definitely one of my favourite songs from DaBaby overall.
This album is the first album that started to grab my attention more from him, as the songs are really catchy, which is something he has done throughout his career. Like a lot of his albums, some of the songs are quite similar, but that's DaBaby's style and it just works.
So this album was very significant because it definitely solidified DaBaby's position in the rap game. And we did say 2019 was claimed to be DaBaby's year. Well, this just backs it up. He closed the year having the most Billboard entries with 22 different tracks. So this all led to a vast increase in his fame, popularity and success.
Of course, 2020 brought Blame It On Baby, which we spoke about at the start of the documentary. Overall, this album received mixed to positive reviews, but there's no doubt that it achieved commercial success, becoming DaBaby's second #1 album. Overall, I have progressively learned to like DaBaby as his career has gone on. This is mainly due to his recent success from Blame It On Baby, and especially Rockstar with Roddy Ricch. Having watched numerous interviews and listened to a lot of his music, he's a bubbly character with a very likeable personality, and I'm massively looking forward to what he does next in terms of his music. Hopefully he can stay out of trouble and be in the limelight for his class music more often than controversies.
Like Joe, DaBaby has only recently came onto my radar, and prior to the Blame It On Baby album, I didn't really know much of his music. Despite his past catalogue featuring some very iconic tracks, I do find some of his old work very samey and similar. His flow is very strong, but he keeps it consistent through a lot of the tracks. Until this latest album, where I really feel that DaBaby is experimenting and growing and showing different talent and different directions that he can go down. I love how he's experimented with different styles, and personally I think the way for DaBaby to move forward is yes, stick to his roots and keep that very strong flow and typical iconic style, but also expand more. Do some tracks like Find My Way in a different style. It's so important to do that in today's world, and if you don't, you sort of just get lost in the mist. But overall, he's a highly talented artist and he's definitely solidified his place in the industry.
It's just a fact. Women talk about that all the time. That as more money a guy has, usually the worse he is in bed.
For real?
Yeah.
Hey, shit.
We talk about it.
We be tired.
See?
Hey, today
every guy in this room is like, damn.
I probably don't got that much money yet. I still like to get in there, but shit, we be tired, man.
I'm gonna get you some sea moss. Dr. Sebi sea moss? Yeah, that should get you right.
I ain't with all that freak shit.
No, I'm telling you, ain't no freak shit. It's some healthy shit.